Everyone is familiar with the Islamic Quran, which is the main authority, the main religious authority within Islam. However, it doesn't stand on its own. It's not sufficient on its own. It is necessary, but not sufficient. The Quran is a small book, roughly as long as the Christian New Testament. It's about 155,000 words. However, it is supported by what is called the Sunnah. The Sunnah is essentially the life of Muhammad. So the Sunnah is made up of what's called the Hadith collections, which are short stories, little short paragraphs about the sayings and the deeds, the traditions, typically it's called, of Muhammad. So Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim are the two most popular, or the two most authentic and sound collections of these stories of Muhammad. They total well over 4,000. Then we also have what is called the Sirah, or the Sirah, the life of Muhammad. So that is his official biography, which is where one finds his political actions, his life as a political and military leader is described in the Sirah. And then we also have two other collections of books. One would be the Tafsir, which literally means interpretation. And we would see that as exegesis, in terms of Christian exegesis, which explains, so the Tafsir collections go through different verses of the Quran and explains them, provides more detail. Not all of the collections cover all of the chapters or go into much detail. Some are very short, some are very detailed, some don't have anything about a particular verse in the Quran. Ibn Abbas, Ibn Kathir, and Ibn al-Jalalain are three of the most popular, most authentic, and most authoritative Tafsir collections. And then, of course, we have the Sharia. Islamic Sharia is not just the legal system, it is the entire way of life of Islam. Islam is a social system, it is a legal system, it is a system of law, a system of warfare. It covers the entire, it's a civilization. And a great deal of this is found in the Sharia, which is the codification of the life of Muhammad, the will of Allah, the will of Muhammad. And the most common, and there are numerous Sharia manuals, but the most common Sharia manual, and this question did come up, is what is called Reliance of the Traveler, also known as in Arabic as the Umdat al-Salik. It is the most common Sharia manual in the Sunni world. The benefit is of this book that it is a single volume as opposed to multiple volumes. It is readily available, and it is a very complete manual. Some Sharia manuals focus on narrow topics, narrow subjects. This one is a very thorough, very complete Sharia manual. So those are the books that one has to study or have available and reference when discussing Islam. There were significant comments made by people in the YouTube comments, Facebook comments that, these sources are false. Well, these are the only sources that are available. At one point I quoted a single verse, but I got it from 16 different Qurans, 16 major Quran Quran editions, and I was told that these are all false. Now, these Qurans are being sold. If they're false, why is there a complaint or such an outcry with me reading from them, as opposed to people complaining about these publishers printing what are supposedly false Qurans, which are spreading falsehoods? So claims like this were very, very common. If Saudi is Jewish, who knows? Hey, I don't know. Then, and I was told that they're spreading false Islam. Well, if they are, why is there concern with me quoting from the text that they put out, rather than people complaining about the fact that these publishers and these authors are writing fake Islam, fake Qurans, and spreading false Qurans and spreading false Islam? There's, these claims, I don't think they stand up, but there were these really ridiculous defenses that just made no sense. I was told that by numerous people that the Saudis are not representative of true Islam. If that's the case, why is there no outcry about them? There's an outcry about me reading the Qurans and things that they publish, but that seems a little hypocritical. And then I was told that besides the Quran, all the other books are irrelevant. If that is the case, where in the Quran is the procedure for the 5 daily prayers, which is one of the pillars of Islam? If the other books in Islam are unnecessary, that's the Hadith, the Sirah, Tafsirs, the Sharia, if those are unnecessary, then please show me where the description of the procedure for the 5 daily prayers is to be found in the Quran. Also, I was told that everything is a matter of opinion. Well, if that's so, then where's the orthodoxy? How can any one person say that his view is correct and any other person is wrong if there is no single orthodoxy? It's just a matter of opinion. So Allah means the God. It is a descriptor. It is a generic term. It is not a specific name. So Allah, within that region, that part of the world, was the Nabatean God, right? So people would say that that particular God of that village was the Allah for that village, the God for that village. And then he raised the issue of additional gods. Now, note that Allah is the Nabatean God. Nabatea would be what we know today as Petra. And Allah had a wife, Allat. That was the female counterpart. And she was, so that is the feminine form of Allah. And of course, they had two daughters, Al-Manat and Al-Uzza. So just something that people might want to note. And they actually found in Quran 53, verses 19 and 20. And those are also known as the satanic verses. You might remember Salman Rushdie was, some couple of decades ago, there was a death fatwa given to Salman Rushdie over his book, The Satanic Verses. But that's a separate issue. I don't want to get involved into that discussion now. But I will mention it from a historical point of view, there is also a generic Hebrew name for the Christian God, not his actual name, but a generic term. So, and this term in the Old Testament is Elohim. Allah, Elohim. And what is interesting is that in the Hebrew, Eloi is singular. The dual form is Eloha, and Elohim means three or more, which would, even in the Old Testament, going back thousands of years, imply the Trinity, that God is three.
Absolutely.
But do notice that the verb that accompanies Elohim is always singular, masculine, singular. So every prophet used that name, Elohim, and it is mentioned over 6,000 times, I believe over 6,800 times in the Bible. It doesn't appear once in the Quran, never used once by Muhammad.